Welcome, my friends, to the Khaos Kreed Podcast, where we discuss masculinity, emotional intelligence, and what it takes to be the greatest version of ourselves, then clash that with thought-provoking experience and perspective to unleash the greatest answers to the question, what does it mean to be rebel-minded? The space is here, the battleground set, and our creed committed to. I'll see all of you soldiers on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys today? It's been an interesting week. A lot of things have been building for me. I'm just now starting on a new training program that is different from my past goals. As I got into powerlifting, I grew a lot stronger, and I, at the same time, lost a lot of size, and then I got hurt last year, and after that happened, I had an old injury kick in and kind of basically bench me, or what I'm finding out now is that was actually my excuse, because for the last year I've kind of let myself fall off the face of the earth when it comes to good training and connecting with the other people that are grinding in the gym still, and I feel like I've lost a piece of myself, and so I'm ready to jump back in. I've started the new program today, actually, and I'm stoked. And when I look back at it now, I think that maybe even though it shouldn't have been a year, maybe I held off for too long, I think sometimes we have to lose what we love most to find the respect for it. And I'm refinding my respect for hard training. It's tough to get back in that gym and not have the same strength, not have the same conditioning. However, I have to say that I'm ready to grind again. The mindset has changed again for me. There's no blah to it. We found a new goal, and it's time to start just working hard, and I am so ready for it. But enough about me. I would love to hear some of your guys' stories. I would love to get some feedback on the podcast, just for conversation. If you guys ever get a chance, reach out to me on IG, reach out to me on Facebook, reach out to me if you know me personally. Have my own number. Jeez, I just want to talk to you guys. I feel like we need so much more to make this podcast thrive. I just want good conversation. I want good perspective. I want to bring in all the minds. And something that somebody else brought up recently was my direction towards men. And I think that I do have a direction towards men. I know men best because I am one. And they're the guys that I coach. And, they're the ones that I have most relativity to. But now that I'm getting into it, I'm wondering if we should really bring in the female perspective. What is it that the female perspective can show us beyond our just assumption of information? All the things that I read into, all the things that I try to study into to better understand men and women. Sometimes I think we just need, honestly, to hear directly from the women, to really open our ears and hear what they have to say. And I can't wait for the opportunity for that to happen. And ladies, if you're listening, I hope that you agree with me. I hope that you have something that you would like to share. I hope that you guys have something that you would like to change. I hope that you have a voice that you want heard. So, without further ado, though, to get away from my ranting, let's get into today's conversation. And today's conversation is going to be about forgiveness. And it's been something that has been in the back of my mind for a while, and it's been something I've had to practice many, many times. So I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to talk about it. I wanted to make sure that you guys understood it the same way I do, and hopefully we can learn something from this. Forgiveness to me is almost like an everyday thing. So let's jump right into this. The first thing is, the question I have for everybody out there is, does forgiveness seem like something we practice very often? If we were to give it some thought, is forgiveness something that crosses your mind every day? If it does, what do you do with it? I guess first of all, we have to decide who we're forgiving. The act of forgiveness seems like a pretty straightforward process, but how easy is the follow through really? And when I speak of forgiveness, I'm not talking about the automated response that we all muster to vocalize every time we bump into one another in public. We all need forgiveness in some way or form. Forgiveness of how we're flawed, forgiveness of how we've failed, forgiveness of how we've hurt others, forgiveness of all of the things that were and are out of our control. Forgiveness spans all realms of our life and how we've experienced ourselves and how we experience others. So if forgiveness is what we need, then what is it that we're experiencing that needs the replacement? To me, it's shame. It's accusation. It's assumption, mercilessness, punishment. We're ashamed of ourselves far more than we are proud most of the time. That's a shame. And I think pride is something we've lost more and more of in our environment. At least nurtured pride anyway. Like deep holistic pride. There's plenty of inflated pride out there, and not only is it obnoxious, we're not really fooling anyone when we're doing it. Our intuition is way too good at sensing that stuff. In my own life, I still have to forgive myself for many things. It's a daily activity. Maybe it's supposed to be. To take off the pressure that we insist on putting on ourselves every day. But the rate and efficiency of my forgiveness has multiplied in the last couple years. I'm forgiving myself for things that happened more than a decade ago. I had to forgive myself this weekend because the podcast episode didn't go as I had planned. The talk that I had with another man for this week couldn't happen. The downloaded file was corrupt, and I tried again and again to find the issue, and that's what you'd be listening to right now if I had. I had to forgive myself for things going wrong, especially because it was the first recorded video call. I was stoked to have another man present himself on the podcast, but these things happen. For years, I couldn't forgive myself for putting myself in the field to become an electrician. How could I? Why would I put the effort into something that I always knew I didn't want to be? Once I jumped in at 18, I just assumed that life would hand me something else, that something would happen. I had this hope. And when it never did, I was convinced that what I was all I could be. Once I turned 28-ish and had my head turned though, it wasn't forgiveness for me using the time as an electrician. It was about forgiving myself for realizing that I had no choice. At any time, I could have changed myself into something I wanted to be. I could have changed course at any time, but I didn't because of my limiting beliefs, because I didn't believe in myself. Another situation was after I lost the love of my life, I didn't forgive myself either. I hated myself. I shamed myself. I had done so much wrong to her. I had ignored her needs. I had ignored the signals she was giving me for connection because, quote unquote, I didn't feel like it because I wasn't like that. I completely ignored her pure love for me. I was completely blind to that. Now, in the beginning, it was fantastic. Our first 6 months were the best I've ever had, but created so much doubt. And that's probably something for another podcast. But back to what I'm saying is I ignored her genuine soul. I never listened. I never gave. And it took me more than months to overcome this shame after everything was said and done. Learning to forgive myself. It took me somewhere in the range of a year to forgive myself for being so ignorant, for being so selfish. I had gone from not thinking much of her at all during the end of our relationship to hating her and her new boyfriend right after we broke up, to idolizing a woman that I no longer had once I had healed, once it was all said and done. And I realized after it was all done was that I didn't hate her. I didn't hate her new boyfriend or her new future. I hated myself. I hated what I did to her. I hated how I completely snuffed our potential. The thing that made me turn around and allow myself to no longer feel the pain was realizing how much I'd changed. I had taken advantage of another person. I had hurt her, and in return, I had compounded the pain on myself. And I decided to take credit for the wrongdoing, because that gave me the ability to forgive myself. I didn't need her to forgive me and say everything was okay. She wasn't even thinking about me anymore. Why was I expecting her to give me the answers I already had within myself? It's when I realized that I was now a completely different person, and because I was, no relationship could ever survive between us again. We were too different. We are too different. And you know what else I did? It returned my love for her. Just refurbished. Something new. And a lot of people don't even agree with that. A lot of people don't understand why I would still have love for her. But it's not theirs to understand. I'm happy for her now. She has the life she's always wanted. How could I be mad at her for that? Because of envy? No, because I wasn't able to do it. And that's okay. I can do better for someone else because of her and everything she was in my life and everything I screwed up with her. The thing is, if you're willing to face your shame and figure out where it even came from, you'll find your success. You'll find your salvation. Listen, our changes don't come from the perfect situations. Our changes come from all the things that go terribly wrong. The things that almost completely destroy us. This is how I came to think of it. Sometimes it's not the best person that makes us better. It's the person that is completely wrong for us that does. Or the completely wrong situation. I would never have become the person that I am if not for her. Who knows where I'd be right now? I guarantee you I wouldn't be talking on this podcast. I wouldn't have become the person that I am if it wasn't for the electrical trade as well. I wouldn't be all of who I am today without all of what has happened to me. Even my physical injuries today have taught me how to have resilience because I refuse to give up on my training. I love it too much. I forgive myself for all of it. For what I get in return is progress, happiness, freedom, and focus on what's important in my life right now. Everything changes us if we let it. If we lean into that everything. And that's the key, isn't it? We have to lean in and we have to allow things to happen because we can always forgive ourselves for what happens. The solution is in the problem. 1, the experience, plus 1, our forgiveness, is what gives us our answer of 2, our progress or solution. You can't complete the equation without fitting in all the numbers needed to find it. The reason that we have to forgive ourselves for something so long ago is because we're no longer that person. None of us are who we were. You can claim that you're in the worst position. You can claim that you're doing worse now, that you have less money, that you have less value, you have less discipline, you have less people, you have less impact. But the brain is so complex. We have no choice but to learn. That's what our brain is striving for. How do you think we came to be where we are now? How do you think any of us survived adolescence and got to where we are now? That's the only thing that our memories are really for. To remember how to not do something again. How to avoid causing the same failure. Because the basic instinct is survival. Our bodies and brains are trying to keep us alive. The only thing that keeps us in the past, the only thing that makes us the same person that we were then, is thinking that we are. Not allowing ourselves to see our growth. It's our choosing to do so. So by thinking we have always been one type of person, we're forcing ourselves to follow the same lifestyle. We're ignoring our memories. We're ignoring what our brain is putting right in front of us to learn and grow. You always have the choice to be something new. You already are. But you have to want to make a difference. You have to believe in the changes you've made. If you're having a problem with forgiveness within yourself, maybe you can try this. You have to determine what it's based on. Did you hurt someone? Did someone hurt you? Did you hurt yourself? Then you have to decide on what it is exactly that hurt you. The best practice? Don't blame it on someone else. Always take the blame. This has been one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in my whole life. Blaming someone else means that you're putting the responsibility on them to make you feel better, and not acting yourself is the lazy, shitty way out. Find what you feel bad about. Find what you feel shame for. Then and only then can you fix it. Decide why it was wrong of you. If you dig deep enough, you can find it. You just have to face the fear of the facts and how bad it's going to hurt. Was it because you chose not to choose? Was it because you were lazy? Was it because you were stubborn? Was it because you were hurt and you wanted someone else to hurt too? Or was it entirely because you just didn't understand the situation? You didn't realize you were doing wrong. And don't feel bad about not knowing. We can't quote unquote know anything without first unknowing. Don't feel like a stupid idiot. This is part of being human. Then realize this. It's in the fucking past. Your past does not define you unless you decide to let it. So unless you personally know the doc and have access to his DeLorean, just go ahead and let it go. It will give you so much more energy for the present and the future. Just condition yourself to let go of the past, whether you understand why or not. It eventually will make sense. Once you can look back into the past failures for reflection, and not for shaming, get ready to see your anxiety melt. Look, guys, forgiveness is necessary. It's just part of the equation. You have to forgive your own soul. Forgive what your heart and mind have done. Forgive your actions. Forgive yourself for all of the moments. The embarrassing ones, the heartbreaking ones, the fiery and aggressive ones, and all of the ones that no one else sees that are hidden behind the doors. You are human. Don't allow yourself to alienate yourself from the 8 billion other people that are here to fuck up just as much as you. Your forgiveness is more crucial to growth than you know. Until next time, friends, stay strong and stay rebel-minded.